Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Kill James Bond. I'm Alice Caldwell-Kelly, joined as always by my friends Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Hey!
How you doing?
And we are joined by special guest, New Zealand correspondent, Ross Palethorpe. Ross, how's it going?
Kia ora, everyone. Yeah, good, thank you. It's very early in the morning here, but happy to be here.
We made you record a podcast at 7 a.m. as a form of sort of punishment. I'm not sure for what.
We have
can only
people
apologize.
everywhere, listeners. We have operatives in
That's
every
right.
country. The
Yep.
sun never sets on the Kill James Bond podcast.
It sure doesn't. I'm kicking off my Monday morning by talking about this film, which is a great way to start your week, actually.
Hell yeah.
Got that Monday morning feeling with Hunt for the Wilderpeople, which is, Abby, this was your choice, right?
It was, yeah. So my brother lived in New Zealand for a few years, and I went out to visit him a few times, so I got a little bit into New Zealand cinema. I just really like this film. I think it's funny. I think it's cute. It reminds me of the fantastic time I had out there when I was out there for a few months. And New Zealand is, well, Ross will be able to tell us more, but my brother described it as like Britain, except it works.
Sure. Yep.
Sure.
Yep. For a given value of
Let's
parts,
go with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like asterisks on that. Like, I understand there's some like shit with like poisoning the wilderness and shit, but like, like it works. But relative to Britain, it works.
Yeah, the amount of poisoning we're doing doesn't even compare. So yeah, this is going to be like a feel good episode. I feel like because it's quite a positive, like heartwarming film, and it only remains to me to be like an absolute dick about it, which I'll do my best. But so this movie it's a Taika Waititi movie is the thing, like an early one. And I'm afflicted with a rare condition, right? This is sort of a public appeal. If there are any other sufferers out there, to network and build community, because I don't really like Taika Waititi films or series, and it's not a condition that's sort of well understood by the public, because of course a lot of people do. So we're sort of just asking for your help and support at this time. I kind of regard him as like, each hemisphere got like one Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he's like the antithetical one.
Devastating thing to say about someone.
There's no coming back from that.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we got a whole other hour of this, so I hope there is. But yeah, so this movie...
If all the Lin-Manuel Mirandas were ever in one place, it would somehow end the world.
It's like matter and antimatter, right? They can never meet, right? If there's a photo of like...
Miranda and anti-Miranda.
Yeah, exactly. There are two particles that have to be like... Yeah, beneath Switzerland, they're building like a collider that's going to accelerate Taika Waititi at Lin-Manuel Miranda, like relativistic speeds. And when that happens, bad news. Yeah.
I think the movie that would come out of that would be the worst thing ever made.
That's right.
Oh yeah, very, very emotionally vulnerable songs.
Yeah, it'll be the live action Akira, except it's got musical numbers in it. I think that's what's going to come out of that one, and I'm excited to review that on the podcast as well. Absolutely.
So this movie begins with of course some beautiful shots of New Zealand, because New Zealand is beautiful, but what's not beautiful about New Zealand is its police and its police cars, and a strange sort of halfway house between Australia's like weird mutant NASCAR thing and like Britain. Again, it's like Britain, but like works kind of, right? And this cop car is dropping off a teenage boy in foster care, right? And the first thing that I note is there's like a cop, brackets, not a real cop, which I always appreciate, and like a social services woman, and they sort of drop this boy on this foster family. And his foster mother's first move is to just ruthlessly dunk on this kid for being fat.
Just a critical like charisma role failure. It happens to the best of us. Just trying to make a good first impression and immediately tripping on your ass endears me to her somewhat.
This is her first impression and her second impression, actually. Like she kind of like has a couple of jokes at his expense because he's a fat kid. And it's the movie sort of has these as being sort of generally broad-natured but a bit horrifying, which is an interesting thing.
She makes fun of him for being generally broad-natured as well.
This is the tone, right?
Yeah. It's a real theme. So the film is based on a novella called Wild Pork and Watercress by an author called Barry Crump, who is basically played by Sam Neill in the movie.
Strong geezer name.
He's a real type of guy. And in the book, Ricky Baker's body is just this constant source of discussion. If anything, it's played down in the movie, which is... No, I was going to say is nice, but no, it's just...
No.
It's unnecessary, but it's a very New Zealand style of humour.
Sure. Yeah. I detect some like Scottish in there. I think that's one of our exports.
Yeah.
Is the kind of like, I'm going to make you feel bad in a way that you're kind of not allowed to recognize.
Yeah.
It's a novella by like Forrest Gump. What was his name? Barry
Crump.
Barry Crumples.
Google Barry Crump at home, by the way, because this is a perfect type of guy to see.
Interesting looking guy as well.
Is it fiction or?
Yeah, I think I described him as what if Ian Fleming but roll-ups and utes instead of cigars and Ferraris. And he's such a sort of he's the kind of New Zealander that almost every white New Zealand guy over a certain age wishes he was. And it's one of those, the legend has been built up over a long time, and it's only more recently that the stories of like horrendous abuse and not being a good guy at all have surfaced. And so it's interesting seeing how that is being played by Sam Neill in this movie.
Yeah, Sam Neill, international treasure.
Yeah.
So you've got Ricky, this fat Maori child who has been sort of like dumped on their doorstep. You have Bella, who is the aunt who is like nice, asterisk, and then you've got Hector, which is Sam Neill, and he's your southern man, right? Your lone man. He's, this kind of figure recurs throughout culture, not to do the monomyth thing. He's like the power of the dog, Kiwi, kind of. Less sinister ostensibly, because like the US kind of got to grips with that maybe this lone man archetype has some sinister undertones, maybe a little bit earlier.
He's an outdoorsman, like, and Sam Neill's performance in this is so good. I fucking love Sam Neill, like, as an actor. Also, I've read his biography, his autobiography, indeed, which is like brilliant. I highly recommend it.
Wines as well.
Also makes incredible fucking wine. Sam, if you're listening, send us wine. It's my favorite. I love it.
The thing about Sam Neill in this movie, though, is that he is basically playing Solid Snake.
Yes.
And once, like... It's exactly the kind of like emotionally shut down, boxed in kind of thing.
I'm trying to infiltrate the New Zealand bush, but this kid's ass is so dummy thick. He's alerting the New Zealand government.
Yeah, this is what Bella says to him.
This kid, by the way, the actor is someone I love to see, Julian Dennison. He's
really good.
Getting a lot of work recently.
Hell yeah!
The best acting in this movie, I think, is all from him. But so he sort of like he comes to this house, and they're warned by the sort of very aggressive social services lady that, like, listen, this is a juvenile delinquent. He's 13, by the way. He's a juvenile delinquent because he's been like breaking stuff and stealing stuff and like loitering on stuff and doing graffiti on stuff. Crime lord.
I mean, this kid, they threaten this kid with jail before they even get out of the car. Like, they're like, this is your last shot at being fostered, mate, and you know what happens if you fuck this one up.
Yeah, the lady Paula is very, very direct and quite mean to him.
Yeah, played by Rachel House, who was also the grandma in Moana. Interesting.
Oh shit!
Yeah, she's a New Zealand sort of theatre and cinematic one. We'd consider her an icon, obviously. Very small sample
There's a few
size.
things in this movie where I'm like, this is a New Zealand thing, therefore it will have X New Zealand thing in it. I'll get to the big thing that made me do that about 2/3 of the way in. But so we have this sequence where he wants to try and run away, right? Because this is unfamiliar to him, and the kind of like brand of like rural tough love kind of thing is like not working for him. She leaves him a hot water bottle and stuff. Also a knife, which I find very funny, is to be like, yeah, here's your like extremely sharp knife, here's your hot water bottle.
Whoa there, that's quite enough of that. And also, I'm just warning you that the only reason I'm not doing this in a New Zealand accent is because I already did it once, and I've decided that I'd rather die than let anyone ever hear that audio. But if you want to hear the rest of this episode of Kill James Bond, you're going to have to head on over to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/killjamesbond, all one word, and sign up today for £5 a month. And as everything in this country gets increasingly more expensive, that is a better and better deal. This is my Costco hot dog. The price will not change. But I'll see you there.